Cosmic Awakening, 1991. Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. By Makāula Nakae. April 23, 1991. Urubamba Valley. Episode 7. My soul wept across the endless green prairies. The plains bloomed in vibrant green, intermingled with brown and yellow fields, presenting a scene that looked much like a patchwork aerial photograph of Hokkaido. Here and there, we could spot herds of horses and cattle grazing. As time passed amidst such breathtaking beauty, my eyes inexplicably grew hot, and a sharp ache bloomed in my chest. I had not the slightest inkling of why my chest hurt. As we pressed forward while I gazed out at the flowing scenery with such a heavy heart, the snow-capped peaks of the Andes suddenly rose into view far across the plains. The exact moment our guide Alex named those mountains Veronica, my tears spilled over, flowing unstoppably. Without understanding why I was crying, I sat alone in the bus as it sped across the boundless prairies, letting the tears stream down. A pain like something piercing the core of my chest began to flare, and I clenched my teeth desperately to fight the urge to burst out sobbing. The harder I tried to stay calm and compose myself, the more uncontrollably the tears welled up. Everyone else was simply captivated by the landscape's beauty, so keeping my voice down and crying without drawing attention was all I could manage. The bus approached a lake that shone brilliantly beneath the blue sky, a place where UFOs allegedly surfaced from beneath the water with some frequency. Alex recounted that in the past, when there were fewer homes in the vicinity, UFO sightings were quite common, but as residences began to multiply around the area, the frequency of sightings declined. Alex himself had witnessed a UFO elsewhere during his childhood, and he mentioned that for the locals living nearby, spotting a UFO was nothing particularly unusual. Hearing that made it easy to understand why researchers in that field dubbed this land a mecca for UFOs. Amidst such majestic scenery, the bus made a temporary stop. Desperate to keep the others from noticing my unending tears, I bolted off the bus, separated myself from the group, and walked down a path stretching into the sprawling meadows in the opposite direction of the vehicle. Walking through the tall grass and the whispering breeze, I was seized by a sudden intense impulse to be left behind right here, to sink down and vanish away within the green of that glowing meadow. Tadashi found me and called out, but I believe the only thing I managed to say was something along the lines of, for some reason, I just can't stop crying. Even standing before Tadashi, the tears wouldn't stop. And he kindly snapped a few photos of me against the backdrop of Mount Veronica. During that time, I felt an incredibly intense wave pressing against my back, like an overwhelming gaze, so palpable it could be felt on the skin, verging on sheer force. Turning around, I saw Veronica's snow-crowned summit rising in the distance. Pointing toward the mountain, I told him, "Something is coming from that mountain." Even after the bus resumed its journey, my tears continued to flow endlessly, accompanied by a sharp, piercing pain in my chest. Tamptum, sitting in the back row, noticed and spoke to me out of concern, but I was utterly helpless, incapable of holding a conversation, and could do nothing except sit alone and cry. Eventually, the bus reached a mountain pass and pulled into a scenic plaza overlooking a sweeping valley. Indigenous children gathered around the bus as it stopped before the panoramic view, and everyone crowded around them to start taking commemorative photos. I, however, was in no state for that whatsoever. My tears simply refused to stop, and the idea of enjoying group photos alongside everyone else was entirely out of the question. I detached myself from the group once again, standing at a distance and watching everyone's smiling faces. Before I knew it, Sakimura had walked over to my side, asking, "What's wrong? Why are you crying like that?" When I told her that my tears wouldn't stop ever since Veronica came into view, and that my chest felt as if it were being pierced, she advised me to sit with the pain and really feel it in my heart. Yet I had no such emotional bandwidth. Asking my heart anything felt completely impossible. All I could perceive was something rushing toward me from the right direction with the overwhelming, surging power of a tsunami. When I shared this, Sakimura turned back to look and said, "That mountain, huh. I can definitely feel an intensely powerful energy coming from it." Turning to look in the exact same direction as her, past the edge of the forest, Veronica's white peak peeked into view. The moment I laid eyes on that majestic white summit, I nodded silently in full agreement with her words. She advised me to use my awareness and visualization to channel the energy, catching in my chest downward, directing it toward the root chakra, located at the base of the spine. Chakra work and Kundalini symptoms. Chakra refers to the 7 cone-shaped, circulating and redistributing energy centers within traditional Indian medicine and yoga systems. Derived from Sanskrit meaning wheel or circle, they are closely linked to mental, emotional, and physical health. The 7 primary chakras are outlined below. 1. Muladhara chakra, root chakra. Meaning root support in Sanskrit, it is located at the base of the coccyx, the lowest part of the spine. Associated with the perineum, it forms the physical foundation of the body. It establishes our base relating to physical stability and survival instincts. Color and element, red, symbolizing energy and vitality. Its element is earth, representing physical stability and security. Themes and functions. It embodies survival, safety, and foundation, closely tied to meeting basic life needs. It is strongly linked to safety and survival instincts. When balanced, the foundation of life is stable, and a sense of physical security is attained, bringing emotional resilience against fear and anxiety. Imbalances. Conversely, blockages can intensify feelings of anxiety, fear, lethargy, and self-doubt. This chakra is activated when basic living conditions, such as economic stability, housing, and food, are secured. 2. Svadhisthana chakra, sacral chakra. An energy center associated with creativity, emotion, and sexual energy. Meaning one's own abode in Sanskrit, it is deeply concerned with our emotions, desires, and pleasures. It is located in the lower abdomen around the sacrum, specifically beneath the navel and slightly above the pubic bone. Color and element. Orange, symbolizing creativity and the flow of emotion. Its element is water, representing fluidity and adaptability. Themes and functions. It represents creativity, emotion, sexual energy, and pleasure, acting as the center of creation and feeling. It is associated with physical parts such as the reproductive organs, bladder, kidneys, lumbar spine, blood circulation, and the lymphatic system. Imbalances and balance reproductive issues. Lower back pain, bladder problems, and kidney disorders can relate to imbalances here. It controls the flow of life energy, prana, and plays a vital role in overall health and vitality. When balanced, artistic expression and the ability to generate new ideas are heightened, emotional expression and understanding become easier, and deep emotional connections with others are forged. It is strongly tied to sexual energy and intimacy. Balance allows for healthy sexual relationships and the proper fulfillment of desires. Blockages can lead to sexual repression, excessive desire, anxiety, or guilt. 3. Manipura chakra, solar plexus chakra. Meaning city of jewels in Sanskrit, it is primarily associated with personal conscious power, self-esteem, and willpower. Located at the solar plexus, slightly above the navel. Color and element. Yellow, symbolizing solar energy. Its element is fire, representing inner energy and transformation. Themes and functions. It symbolizes self-consciousness, power, willpower, and energy, closely linked to the digestive system, liver, pancreas, stomach, gallbladder, and small intestine. Indigestion, stomach issues, diabetes, and liver disease are said to relate to imbalances in this chakra. It governs the body's energy conversion, including digestion and the process of converting inhaled oxygen into energy. Imbalances and balance. Symbolizing personal power, self-awareness, willpower, and self-esteem, balance brings enhanced confidence, decisiveness, self-control, self-respect, and a heightened sense of responsibility for one's life. It stabilizes emotions, making it easier to control feelings and respond calmly to anxiety, fear, or anger. Blockages can manifest as self-doubt, powerlessness, explosive anger, or an overbearing desire for control. 4. Anahata chakra, heart chakra. Located in the center of the chest as the 4th chakra, it is an energy center associated with love, empathy, and harmony. Meaning unstruck or unheard in Sanskrit, it is known as the center of the heart. Color and element, green or pink, symbolizing healing and balance. Its element is air. Themes and functions. Heart disease, respiratory problems, chest pain, and tension are associated with imbalances here. It governs the circulation and harmonization of energy, playing a vital role in overall health and well-being, while symbolizing breath and life energy, prana. Associated with the heart, lungs, rib cage, circulatory system, and immune system, it symbolizes love, empathy, harmony, self-acceptance, unconditional love, and compassion. Imbalances and balance. When balanced, love and understanding toward others deepen, fostering healthy relationships. Self-love and self-acceptance are strengthened, empowering one to accept oneself as is. It brings emotional stability, allowing stress and anxiety to be handled peacefully. Blockages can intensify feelings of loneliness, jealousy, anxiety, and hatred. 5. Vishuddha chakra, throat chakra. An energy center associated with communication, self-expression, and the pursuit of truth. Meaning purified in Sanskrit, it symbolizes the power to express inner truth through words and voice. Located in the center of the throat, it is associated with the thyroid gland. Color and element, light blue, symbolizing clarity and expressiveness. Its element is ether, space, symbolizing sound and vibration. Themes and functions associated with physical parts such as the throat, vocal cords, trachea, thyroid gland, lymphatic system, neck, and shoulders. Sore throats, thyroid issues, vocal problems, and neck or shoulder stiffness are linked to imbalances here. It governs energy expression and communication, promoting the harmony of physical and mental energies. It represents communication, self-expression, truth, and sincerity, tied to the ability to speak truth and clearly convey one's thoughts. Imbalances and balance. As the center of communication and self-expression, balance brings smooth interactions and the frank expression of opinions and emotions. Creative expression, especially through words, music, and art, is tied to this chakra. Balance ensures loyalty to one's truth and sincerity toward others. Blockages can make self-expression difficult, intensifying lying, concealment, anxiety, and tension. 6. Ajna chakra, third eye chakra. Also known as the third eye, this chakra is associated with intuition, insight, and spiritual awareness. Meaning command or knowledge in Sanskrit, it is located in the center of the forehead between the eyebrows. Color and element. Indigo, deep bluish purple. It is associated with the element of light, symbolizing deep knowledge, insight, inner light, and wisdom as the center of inner vision and spiritual insight. Themes and functions associated with the brain, eyes, forehead, sinuses, and nervous system. Headaches, vision problems, neurological disorders, and sinus issues are linked to imbalances here. As a center of spiritual energy, it promotes the elevation and harmonization of overall consciousness, representing intuition, insight, spiritual awareness, and self-awareness. It is the core of intuition and insight, tied to higher spiritual knowledge and comprehension. Imbalances and balance. When balanced, intuition sharpens and the capacity for deep insight into matters is enhanced. Visions and inspirations gained through dreams and meditation are tied to this chakra, deeply involving self-awareness and spiritual growth. Balance deepens self-understanding and facilitates spiritual exploration and meditation. Blockages can lead to confusion, lack of decisiveness, and narrow-minded thinking. 7. Sahasrara chakra, crown chakra. Located at the top of the head, the crown, it means thousand-petaled in Sanskrit, symbolizing spiritual awakening and connection to the universe. It is a vital energy center for reaching the highest level of consciousness and aiming for complete integration. Color and element: purple, white, gold, white silver, violet, or lavender. Featuring countless petals, it symbolizes spiritual purification and awakening. It is associated with physical parts such as the brain, nervous system, scalp, and pineal gland. Headaches, nervous system issues, and brain dysfunction are linked to imbalances here. Themes and functions. It acts as the ultimate receiver of energy flowing through all other chakras, integrating them all to harmonize overall energy flow, maintain balance, and unify all energetic elements. Associated with the element of pure consciousness, it represents spiritual awakening, cosmic consciousness, and spiritual integration. It is the center of spiritual awakening and enlightenment, symbolizing the merging of individual consciousness with universal consciousness. Imbalances and balance. When opened, the individual connects with cosmic consciousness, gaining deep spiritual understanding and knowledge. This chakra can be activated through meditation and prayer. Balance yields an overall sense of well-being and spiritual fulfillment. Conversely, blockages can cause spiritual confusion, alienation, and a lack of life purpose. Chakra work and Kundalini symptoms. I began chakra meditation to heal an undiagnosed liver disease. My primary focus was the third chakra, which is connected to the liver, and I didn't continue the healing meditation with a strong conscious awareness of the other chakras simply by following the flow of the meditation video. Although I knew the word Kundalini and its elementary concepts, my goal was not to awaken and raise Kundalini. It was only later that I realized the heart pain and the wound in the heart chakra that occurred suddenly amidst the prairies of Urubamba were connected to the Kundalini phenomenon. Just as Sakimura had advised, even after boarding the bus, I kept my concentration focused on the root chakra and maintained the visualization of channeling the energy, catching in my chest downward toward the root chakra. For me at that time, her advice was a deeply reassuring presence. I couldn't see anyone else around me feeling the mountain's vibration in the same way I did, and I felt greatly comforted by how calmly she accepted that vibration. Meeting Sakimura in that manner is how she has become a lifelong friend to this day. As we continued practicing chakra work, the bus descended the mountain road toward the sacred valley, and the sacred valley of the Inca Empire breathed quietly beneath a blanket of lush greenery. The mountains rose gently, and the trees even began to feel as though they were whispering to one another. From time to time, indigenous people appeared out of the terrace fields carved into the mountain slopes and walked past our bus. The sacred Urubamba River, carrying melting snow in a muddy torrent, flowed through the center of the valley toward the Amazon, accompanied by green fields clustering closely around its banks. The tears stopped as we descended through the tranquil scenery of the sacred valley, but my chest continued to ache quite persistently. As I felt that chest pain while taking in the scenery right as we finished descending into the valley, the top of my head suddenly grew cool. Next, the pain in my chest cooled down as well, feeling as breezy as if a hole had opened right in the center of my chest, and the pain was cut in half. The preceding events seemed to melt right inside me, feeling as though they had naturally become a part of who I was. An intense pain and suffering for which I could find no reason, and an emotion akin to an endless sorrow that made the tears unceasing. Liberated slightly from those feelings and feeling a little reassured, I held zero resistance or doubt toward the bizarre phenomenon itself. Or rather, while it was happening, thinking was difficult, and my rational mind wasn't functioning properly. Because the phenomenon itself was entirely outside the scope of my waking mind's comprehension, leaving me in a confused state of not knowing what on earth was happening. I simply felt saved just by being substantially freed from those roaring, overflowing emotions and pain. Only then was I finally able to enjoy the surrounding scenery. The sight of the trees stretching out to support the mountains and the murmur of the flowing river felt alive and pulsing, a complete reversal from just moments before. It was akin to the nostalgic feeling of recalling an old Japanese landscape, one different from the present day, a scenery no longer remaining within actual reality, a somehow familiar sensation. Yet it wasn't an exact match for past landscapes experienced in Japan, nor for the scenery amidst nature where I spent my childhood. Looking back through my childhood memories, nothing came to mind that resembled the natural landscape of Urubamba, yet it felt nostalgic. The untouched natural landscape of Urubamba, the sacred valley of the Inca Empire, felt calm, expansive, bright, and fresh. The entire valley was filled with joy, and both the chirping of the trees and the murmuring of the river seemed to welcome us in song. Urubamba, the sacred valley of the Inca Empire. During the era of the Inca Empire, the Urubamba Valley was known as the Sacred Valley Valle Sagrado. Located approximately 15 kilometers northwest of Cusco, the valley sits at an altitude ranging between roughly 2,000 and 3,000 meters, surrounded by towering mountains with the Urubamba River flowing through it. The Sacred Valley flourished as an important agricultural zone during the Inca Empire, where the ancient Incas utilized advanced farming techniques to develop terracing agriculture and irrigation systems. The valley is dotted with numerous ruins that functioned as administrative centers and religious sites for the Incas, the most prominent and world-famous being Machu Picchu, situated in the upper reaches of the Urubamba Valley. Alante Tambo, located in the heart of the valley, preserves its stone terraces and buildings, and is described as having once functioned as an Inca fortress city. Pisac, known for its indigenous Sunday market, was a center of Inca religious and agricultural life, featuring vast terraced farmland and temple ruins. I had no inkling of what sort of experiences awaited me in the Sacred Valley, which holds the memories, records, and thoughts of such a long history. Escaping a vortex of inexplicable pain, sorrow, conflict, and disappointment, seemingly tied to mysterious past lives, left me feeling as though I could finally breathe a little more freely. Not by my own will, but from deep within myself, another completely unknown self, something related to a parallel life, suddenly emerged. I can only describe this comprehensive emotional experience as one that forced me to rethink my own existence, confronting me with a situation where I had no choice but to instantly expand the boundaries of myself. Reflecting upon the experience of mysterious emotion and pain that began at the sacred peak Veronica, an experience that could truly be called a visceral past-life regression, certain thoughts arose. I had been performing chakra work to channel the energy causing sensory pain, sorrow, and suffering at the heart downward into the first chakra, using visualization. As a result, my seventh chakra first opened up and grew cool. In a sense, it became airy, and because blockages around the heart grew easier to pass through, the pain likely dropped to less than half. I had read stories warning that a sudden awakening and ascent of Kundalini could be dangerous if blocked along the way. But at the time, I had zero mental bandwidth to connect this experience with the Kundalini phenomenon. Nor did I intend to awaken Kundalini intentionally. Because it all started the exact moment I heard the name of the sacred peak Veronica. It is most reasonable to think that the name acted as a trigger, reproducing past life memories, specifically visceral, experiential records. Since my body had begun reacting even before landing in Cusco as a precursor, those processes must have already been set in motion somewhere deep within my subconscious, or within the domain of transcendent consciousness, or both. The memory etched in the plains of Urubamba, where a massive massacre of the Inca people was once perpetrated by the Spanish. It wasn't like recalling a movie scene as one might experience during past life regression via hypnotic age regression. It didn't happen through an induced semi-hypnotic state. It occurred while I was in a completely conscious, waking state. The emotional pain, sorrow, and suffering I experienced at that time must have been a reproduction of visceral pain memories recorded across all senses. Furthermore, it wasn't something recalled intentionally by my waking mind. Upon arriving at the location, it automatically surged straight up from beneath the surface. How does the total system of consciousness operate to draw forth such ancient memories or records? What is the reason why an experience from a timeline completely divorced from this present life, moreover, a tragic and brutal memory or record, had to be re-recognized by the waking mind? Memories of a distant past life that seem to bear no relation to our current existence must have surfaced, reproduced, and required re-remembering from the chaotic memory warehouse of the Akashic records for a reason meant to be fulfilled. Yet I can only say it was an experience my waking mind could neither fully comprehend nor completely fathom. What was the reason? What was the purpose? What does the total system of consciousness think, and for what purpose does it create events that should be experienced or are destined to be experienced in this present lifetime? Reflecting upon this, I realized that beyond waking consciousness, there are domains of consciousness known as the subconscious and the transcendent, realms that the waking mind cannot easily grasp, recognize, or move through freely as an integrated whole. There is an English proverb, "God moves in mysterious ways." This phrase is widely known as a quotation from the British poet William Cowper's hymn, "Light shining out of darkness." God moves in a mysterious way. His wonders to perform, he plants his footsteps in the sea and rides upon the storm. This phrase illustrates how mysterious God's actions and plans are, so mysterious that they are incomprehensible to human beings. Because they exceed our conventional wisdom and understanding, they appear inscrutable to human eyes. The invisible world, along with God's plans and actions, transcends human knowledge and understanding, operating in ways unseen by us. Underneath that mysterious operation, human beings facing hardship and adversity are asked to believe that the invisible world is working in the best possible manner. By believing that the trials and adversities facing humans ultimately align with the intentions of the invisible world, and that deep meaning and purpose lie behind them, we can maintain patience and hope. The power, consciousness, and arrangement of the invisible world operate from a place beyond human comprehension, and the power, wisdom, and potential flowing from that transcendence are infinite. Fully comprehending the higher intentions and actions of a realm transcending the human world, commonly called God, is nearly impossible. God accomplishes things through mysterious ways. If we live with humility and reverence, the veil of that mystery may gradually begin to lift. To be continued. Watch and listen. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full podcast now. Explore the archive Cosmic Awakening Volume 1, 1991, Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. Volume 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact. Join the journey. New episodes drop periodically. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused 10 to 30-minute hit of real-life experiences, perfect for your daily plunge into consciousness exploration. Subscribe to support your inner development. Thumbs up to help push our channel through the algorithm. Comment below. Share your thoughts on today's episode.